Yes, it's Wednesday, midweek, right here on the floor of Gatun State. It is the floor situated in the capital of Abia State. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. It is the pinnacle of all discussions, the platform where we take a critical look at issues as it affects our dear nation, Nigeria, and also as it affects our dear state, Abia State. It runs every Monday, every Wednesday, and also every Friday. It is still part of our morning show, the morning show we call Morning Spice, right here on the floor of God's own state. Welcome on board. My name is Michael Oni. Now, this morning, we're looking at court processes in Nigeria. Of course, court processes and electoral processes, sometimes they work hand in hand, in tandem with each other. Remember, that was earlier this week, former President Goodluck Jonathan canvassed for the total overhaul of the electoral process to make the electorate the ultimate decision makers in an election, saying winners should be decided through the ballot boxes rather than the court processes. He described the undue intervention of the judiciary in the determination of election winners in the country as unhealthy for democracy. So he's craving for limited interference through court processes in the electoral process. Jonathan, the former president, who was a guest at a youth foundation program in Abuja, stated that the prevailing tough political environment in the country has not helped the quest for more women's participation in politics. He said the judiciary has overreached itself by taking over the function of selecting elected leaders, and according to him, the standard practice is that the electoral management body exercise the sole responsibility of returning candidates and declaring winners, while the judiciary complements by either upholding declared results or nullifying flawed elections and ordering a rerun. So, the former president stated that countries that conduct free and fair elections experience less election-related litigations, while numerous court cases following the elections are the hallmark of fragile democracy. Listen to what he said.
Public statement before, and I will always make it. I'm not saying the judiciary are not doing well, but I mean our laws should suppress the idea of the judiciary returning candidates. If a candidate that won the election is fined one thing, so that election should be annulled and a fresh election conducted. The ballot paper must decide who holds any office from councillorship to the presidency, and that is democracy. And until we get there, then we are not doing well. But we must regret it that sometimes our elections are too violent in Nigeria. I think we are in Africa. We are among the top countries with violent elections. If you ask the who has gone around with me for observation of elections, most countries, when you go, you will not notice that they are doing elections. You hardly, this kind of violence we see. Yes, every country has its own unique problem, but this violence that scare people, like sometimes even you watch on television, even for party primaries, see people going to break doors, windows, scatter ballot boxes and so on. You hardly see it in other African countries. And when we behave that way, of course, we are now giving the powers to the judiciary to decide who becomes your governor, who becomes your senator, who becomes your...
Those were the exact words of the former president of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, at that program. Now, the ballot papers should be the basis of selecting political leaders. If it is judiciary that will select, it means that we are not yet there. Those are the exact words used by the former president of the country, Goodluck Jonathan. The former president, while admitting that some funds might be needed in elections, especially in the area of logistics during campaigns, he frowned upon the negative way money is being deployed in inducing voters, electoral officials, and security operatives to subvert the electoral process. Listen to him also on that one.
On the issue of money, and into politics, which my good friend raised it. The first thing is that for you to play politics, definitely you spend some money because you need logistics. I'm not talking about money to bribe anybody, but basically for you to campaign, for example, you have a team that you move out from one community to the other. Either you hire vehicles, or in my state it's even more expensive because you use 70% of the state, you have to use speedboats that are more expensive than vehicles. So you need basic money. But the problem we have in Nigeria is the one that are used negatively. Money that are used to induce maybe some actors. That is the negative aspect of the money. Otherwise, you must need some money. But then in Nigeria, frankly speaking, compared to other African countries, we spend too much money playing politics. Probably we need also to review our laws. If you go, because I've observed elections in quite a number of African states.
Well, those are the exact words used by former President Goodluck Jonathan. The statement by former President Jonathan underscores the position of other commentators who believe that the presumed default in the leadership recruitment process stems from anomalies in the working document, that is the Electoral Act anyways, that guides the conduct of election in Nigeria. Well, severally, the National Assembly has attempted to change or amend some of the provisions there, but it has always crumbled on the feet of some leaders who lacked the political will to sign it off. Currently, an effort is on the course by the 9th National Assembly to amend, of course, the Electoral Act, but the future of the exercise is very much unknown. But this morning on the pinnacle of all discussions, the platform on Flow 94.9 FM, we are concerned, like the former President Goodluck Jonathan is, on the way forward as we prepare for another round of elections in 2023. You might say 2023 is far, but of course the games and the theatrics are very much on right now. The national chairman of AAC, and he is also the leader of Inter-Party Advisory Council, the umbrella body of all political parties in Nigeria, Dr. Leonard Ezenwa, will be leading the discussion. And on the flip side, we shall be connecting with an election observer, civil society activist, and the DG Flag Foundation of Nigeria, Mr. Chris AGIRI, rather. And I think I have Dr. Leonard Ezenwa already joining me virtually. Doctor, can you hear me? Good morning to you.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on your program this morning. How's Umar here?
Umar here is doing fine, as usual. You're welcome, Doctor. Thank you very much for joining us. Let's go straight into the discussion for today. Do you subscribe to the position of the former president that the courts should play less roles in the electoral process?
Yeah, I think the former president is on point. He's talking from experience. He's also talking from as an elder statesman, as well as a key player in the political ecosystem. I think he's well fortified to say what he is saying because it is the outcome of experience. Now, there is no political system or political ecosystem where you do not have legal interventions here and there. But what we have seen in our country is that it has become extremely too much. We need some level of moderation. We need some level of orderliness. We need some level of decency. Court-induced victory. Court-induced victory is anti-democratic. It does not confer dignity on the winners. It does not also give the electors the confidence to relate appropriately with the victors, the so-called victors. And so the former president is on point, and that's exactly what we're all saying, that we need to diminish completely the interventions of the legal system in our political system. We'll bring it to the minimum.
Okay, if you're subscribing to the suggestion of the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, then what will be done about some of the litigation? Some persons carry grievances, and after the electoral process, after election, and they are not happy with the outcome. Where do you expect them to channel those grievances?
Of course, I've said it. I said there's no way you can diminish completely interventions of the legal system. It's not completely, it's not possible. It's there. But what we're trying to say is that we need to, bring some level of sanity, decency around it. And I understand very well part of the problem has been the inability of the political parties to rein in its members. So you have high level of lack of internal democracy within the political parties. And so when you have situations where the political parties are not themselves democratic, they cannot produce what is democratic. So the most important thing is for the political parties to work around having their elections, the internal elections, to be democratic, to be free, fair, inclusive, and legitimate. Once that is done, both pre-election election and post-election litigations will completely reduce. So the lawyers and the legal system has a role to play, but it's not at the way it is being done here, because we have several litigations that is suffocating the political system, and it does not go well for our polity.
Is it possible for political parties to have less rancorous primaries?
It is very much possible. It is very much possible. The structure of political parties is a democratic structure.
Okay.
But because of the nature of Nigerians, because of the nature of human beings, because of the perceived longings to accommodate or get things for oneself and all that, we find that our political parties are not an ideal political parties that is democratic. And so, if the parties are structured in such a way that is democratic, we will not have this problem. And that means, in terms of recruitment, both the leadership of the party itself, the members of the party itself, as well as all that paraphernalia of the party itself, must be democratic. If it is done in such a way, we can say we can have democracy. But if it is not that way, we will not have it. So it is important that the parties are democratic in itself first, before we will have a democracy at large. So it is possible for our political parties to be democratic. All we need to do is to be sincere. All we need to do is also to be mindful that we have a project that will not atrophy whatever happens in our society.
Okay, it is very interesting. I take you back to exactly those things that the former president said, because this is about the will of the people. Now, he said that the judicial process should have limit interference in the electoral processes that we have in the country. Now, let's take a look at that. For example, let me take you back to Imo State, where that Supreme Court judgment brought in the present governor, and a lot of persons are saying, no, it is against the will of the people. We didn't lie what happened. And how do you think, at the end of the day, if fault, we find fault in some electoral process after the election, punishment will be meted out for those that caused those lacunas, and we can also move forward and not allowing such to happen?
Okay. I think you just brought a lot of things in one particular place. So many things you've said now. But one thing I want us to notice is there is no political system that will not have legal intervention. Even the United States of America, even at the last minute, Donald Trump was fighting to reverse that particular election. So it's everywhere. It's a normal thing. There must be legal intervention. It's there. The essence of that is basically to order the behavior or conduct of human beings in a political setting. So it is taken. However, when we begin to push it to this critical level in our environment, where court judgments are obtained or elections are obtained via court judgments, there's something wrong. The Imo example is a very bad example. And it's playing out. It's playing out in that state because there's a serious legitimacy issue there. People are not happy with the system there, even though they will not come out to say, to confront the status quo. But the thing is that there's deep-seated misgivings. There is deep-seated disconnection between the institution of government there and the people, because it does not come through a democratic process, a democratic system. So it is showing everywhere. So there's lack of connection between the governors and the governed. So in that way, you have negative outcomes when you have court-induced victories. Now, specifically some of the issues you have raised now, how do we go forward? How do we go forward in trying to see limit the intervention of the legal system and our political system? One of the key things we need to do is to debrief the lawyers. The lawyers are the problem. Now, the thing basically is that every lawyer thinks a political matter or a case classified as political case is a big money, is a big ticket money brief for him. And so when contestants or candidates in elections have issues, even if the candidates do not meet the lawyers will go and approach them that can help you regular around this particular matter. So there is a need for the lawyers to also understand that they have some societal role to play. They have some social value role to play in trying to deepen our democracy. Now, that is on one side. On the other side, as I said earlier, the political parties are the key anchor to this. Okay. Now, we need to understand that for a political party to have a firm grip in politics or democracy in a country, it must be institutionally democratic. What we do have in Nigeria is political parties that are not democratic in nature. And I'll give you a clear example. There are some political parties in this country where you have the national chairman has stayed over 20 years as the national chairman of a political party. Such a political party, how do you expect that kind of party to be a democratic party? It will not work because the leadership of that particular party is not democratic. So anything that comes out from that political party is still the same anti-democratic forces that will be at play. So you have such things. So the other element is that's on the political side. On the EMB, that is Electoral Monitoring Board, the INEC I'm talking about now. The INEC has a role to play to ensure that a leadership of a political party do not stay longer than necessary. They have to make it, if it is one tenor or two tenor, the person goes. Now, a situation where you find the so-called founder of political parties as well as leaders of the political party, you find one particular person being the presidential candidate of the party, you find the person being also the chairman of the party, you find the person also being the spokesman of the party, you find the person also virtually everything about the party. So in such arrangement, such political parties will not provide or produce any democratic value for the society. So what I'm saying is I've looked at it in three ways. From the political party side, one side, from the lawyer side, I've also looked at it from the Electoral Management Body side. So if we get our acts together to this, and I think we'll have a democracy that's well defined, that will be inclusive, that will be fair, that will be credible, and also that will be legitimate.
I'm going to take you from that the lawyer's perspective that you spoke about. A lot of persons have alleged that our judges are not helping matters. When we take a look at some of these tribunal cases and some of these electoral cases in our courts of law, it's been said that it's the winner takes it all when you pay the biggest, the highest bidder takes it all. Let me put it that way. It's a very big allegation. I don't know how can we move beyond this process so that people can have a belief in our judicial processes, especially when they are handling electoral cases.
Okay, I think you're on point. We need to understand most times these things cannot be done outside the confines of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, we need to go back to the basics. Our Constitution presupposes or stipulates that we have a presidential system of government. We have the presidential system of government. Globally, the presidential system of government is extremely expensive. It is not like the cabinet system or parliamentary system of government that you can have shortcuts. No. The presidential system of government is extremely expensive. You must have deep pocket for you to practice that. And when you come to an environment like Nigeria, where you have myriads, you have several factors that are at play, the only way you can do that is to see how you can accommodate the different and varied interests. But we are not doing that properly. So what do I suggest or what do I propose? I propose a proportional representation format where you have an inclusive government, sort of government of national unity, where if an election is conducted at the end of the day, yes, you have the leading party that have won. Then you might now have the opposition party or other opposition party coming to form a nucleus, and they are now become part of the government and will have a national government of unity. When that is done, you take different people from different sides, and you now limit this disaggregation. And so once you have that, you now have people coming together to form a government, and there will be less acrimonious situation in the country. So if everybody is embraced, these contending forces that are trying to dismember this country will end. And so our proposition is a proportional representation, an inclusive or a government of national unity that will accommodate the varied interests so that we can have a peaceful country. Nothing is cast in stone. The fact that we practice presidential system of government does not make it in any way that we cannot try anything out. No. But we have to have an arrangement where what works for the nation, that's the most important thing. What works for us? It is not what's in the books. What works for us? What will make Mr. A happy? What will make Mr. B happy? What will make Mr. C happy? What will make the Muslim happy? What will make the Christians happy? What will make the traditionalists happy? So when we look at all these values all together, marry them together, and get a template or something that works for us, that makes it fun. And if it works for us, we can give you whatever we don't want to give. But the bottom line is that we need to have peace. We need to have some level of orderliness in this country. so that this country can move forward.
All right, Dr. Leonard, these lacunas, these myriads of challenges that we have in our electoral process in the country are due to some of the issues that we have in our constitution, like you highlighted. And I understand that there is an Electoral Act presently in the House, in the National Assembly, being worked on by our lawmakers. And I'm expecting input from your council, the umbrella body of all political parties, the Inter-Party Advisory Council, which you are the leader. So I want you to let us know how you've been able to put all these together. What is the input, or what are the input of the parties in the ongoing reform of the Electoral Act?
Okay, thank you for this question. Last year, at the height of a coalition of memoranda from different stakeholders and constituencies, the Inter-Party Advisory Council also made its input. We had series of contributions. We first of all came together as a body of political parties. We now cross-fertilize ideas. We look at gray areas. We examine things that are happening in our country politically, and we'll sort way forward. And at the end of that particular session, we came out with the communique, and we have to devote that into a memorandum, which we submitted. We went to National Assembly to submit our position on our input into the Electoral Act. Now, some of the key points, some of the key highlights of the things we submit was this: we need to have a situation where the political, we have to have a political, the playing field has to be equal, has to be balanced. We want to have a situation where all political parties must have the same financial muscle. We have to have a situation where all political parties will have to have the same base for us to start and begin to springboard to do what we are doing. A situation where one political party has advantage over the other is not auguring, and it's also limiting the effort of other political parties not to move forward. The other key thing we also added was this: we have a situation where the State Independent Electoral Commission, that is the different electoral commissions across the states, have frustrated effort to deepen democracy. Now, these state electoral independent commissions are the tool that most of the state government and the state governments have used in trying to frustrate other political parties and other democratic forces to thrive in their states. And so our position is that these particular institutions across the states will have to be scrapped. We do not want the independent state electoral commission, because they are anti-democratic,
okay,
and they have not helped us to actually move democracy forward. So those are some of the key points we also had. We also look at campaign financing. What will be the limit of this and all that? So many elements we brought together and all that. So
we have a limit before now, and that has been very difficult to monitor by the electoral body, INEC. A lot of persons don't even understand that, don't even know that there is a limit a particular candidate can spend during electioneering process, like the campaign period. And it's been very difficult to monitor that. How can that be possible?
Well, that assignment is basically that of the Electoral Commission to do, the EMP to do that, and the other agencies. But what we try to do in the Inter-Party Advisory Council is to talk to our members to also ensure that they follow the rules. But let me also be very frank with you. I've mentioned earlier before that the presidential system of government is extremely very, very expensive. And not only being expensive, you also need to connect with the realities on ground. Let's take the classical example, for instance. I'm contesting for let's say for the chairmanship of a local government, for instance. You have those we call political bridgers. You have the market women, you have the youth group, you have the disabled, you have various groups, and you have the various individuals. Now, as you set out to go and campaign, you are budgeting, let me say, 1 million naira, for instance, for a constituency. And now you set out to campaign. By the time you get to the campaign ground, or you set about campaigning at the grassroots, you will not notice these political bridgers. You must give them money. First of all, if you don't give them money, they will not listen to you. They will tell you, is it the story they were coming here to tell us? And so we need to also understand that it is not only the politicians are responsible for this in trying to break the limit of the campaign limit. No, it's not. It's because of the reality on ground. And at the end of the day, the politicians are to blame. Okay, even if you don't give them money, You cannot go without giving the women request for wrappers. Some of them request for wrappers. Some of them request for food and all that. So you find out that it is extremely difficult, very difficult for us to get this campaign limit enforced. So it's a very difficult thing. What we are trying to do, what everybody is trying to do is to try to be cautious, to be orderly. But I tell you, it's a tall work for us to, get that campain limit. Right. As stated, it's going to be difficult.
Interesting. I want to really appreciate your time this morning, Dr. Leonard Ezenwa, the National Chairman of African Action Congress, and of course the leader of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, the national body, actually. Thank you very much, Doctor, for being part of the program this morning.
Thanks for having me on your program as well. Thank you very much.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
And you too. Thanks.
If you've just joined us, it is the platform, the pinnacle of all discussions right here on Flow 94.9 FM, the flow of Godson State, where we take a critical look at issues as it affect our dear nation, Nigeria. And this morning, we're examining the former President Goodluck Jonathan's suggestion on less judicial interference in the electoral processes. He made some suggestions, and he said, well, there should be less interference, and the court should not decide and should not have that tone of finality when it comes to a candidate's selection. But I still have to talk to one other person just before I throw the lines open. I know you're eager to share your thoughts on this particular issue, just as we have the Electoral Act. Of course, it is presently in the National Assembly going through some lawmaking process before it will be finally passed into law, and of course that assentment expected also at the finally by Mr. President. I will be speaking with the DG of Flag Foundation of Nigeria, and of course he's an election observer, Chris AGIRI. He will be joining me very soon. But let's listen once again to what former President Goodluck Jonathan said, where he canvassed the overhaul of the electoral process to make the electorate the ultimate decision makers in an election. Okay, let's get, I think Mr. Chris AGIRI is joining now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, glad to have you join us on the platform on Flow 94.9 FM. I know you must have heard what the former President Goodluck Jonathan said, and you have witnessed many elections in Nigeria, even some that have ended up in courts. If the judiciary is truly the last hope of the common man, should we not be happy that at least some injustice are corrected through the court?
Well, to a large extent, you are right in that regard, in terms of correcting some kind of injustice through the courts as the last hope of the common man. But just yesterday, we were brainstorming, discussing on what the former President Jonathan said. Come to think about it, people sometimes who said, who call him a governor, due respect, as Supreme Court governor. But behold, all the state governors in Nigeria are all Supreme Court governors, with the exception of Obiano, whose second election is ending, this year, who did not end up in Supreme Court. All the other ones ended at the Supreme Court. And that being the case, I think, to some extent, it's undemocratic, because at the Supreme Court level, and most of the courts, they rely on what they call technicalities. That is where the confusion comes in. These technicalities, based on technicalities applicable in law, depending on the know-how and the tactics applied by different lawyers, you see justice tilting towards, who he ought not to be ordinarily. And that raises another question. From what Jonathan said, yes, it makes a lot of sense for the courts to rule for a re-election, to rerun the election, to cancel as this one, and if once they find loopholes in how the other one was, the one that was concluded before coming to court, it makes a lot of sense. Another thing is that even when the Constitution is amended, the Electoral Act, given the making room for courts not to deliver clear judgments, is coming to the conclusion of, okay, cancel the election, go and do another election. The same thing that gave birth, will be repeating itself. With the exception of the recent landmark case where the professor was jailed over senatorial elections in Akwa Ibom State, going forward, I am of the opinion that there should be special courts on election, election tribunal, special courts to try electoral offenses. Special courts to try electoral offenses, and it is taken so more serious. So that the electoral offenders, we know that there will be no place for them to hide. On the other hand, without application of ICT, total ICT, it's difficult for us to have a free and fair election in Nigeria. If the BVN and the banks is working, if the banking system can apply software that enable you transfer money from your account to do all the banking transactions, it all means the application of technology can be used in conducting a free and fair election in Nigeria. But the current Nigerian political elite, as selfish as they are, I doubt whether they will allow such things to come in place, because they are direct beneficiaries of these injustices and evils that's thrived in our electoral process. So, to put this straight, we have to establish, I'm of the opinion we should establish, special courts to try electoral offenses.
Interesting. So you're saying that the judiciary should have limited interference in electoral processes, especially the final decision.
To a large extent, because the issue of technicalities, denies people justice.
All right. Interestingly, while answering that first question, you already answered what I have next for you here. Your suggestions concerning what you want to correct in the Electoral Act. You spoke about the BVN and usage of technology. But what do you think about the large number of political parties within the political space? Are they helpful?
INEC, on 2 occasions, have delisted. Some of them went to court. I think there are still ones still dragging. In as much as we want to liberalize the democratic process, it does not make sense, in the true sense of it, that you have 1,001 political parties. This 1,001 political parties is just one-man show. And you know what gave that to it was at a point when INEC was funding, providing certain resources to political parties. So they now thought it was an avenue for them to, In fact, some political parties are funded by one person. Some 2 or 3 political parties who places cronies here and there. So, in going forward, even if it takes, amending the Constitution and the Electoral Act to reduce the number of political parties. Yes, I agree. Some other political parties may not also be national in nature. Some parties can be confined to zones or to states. A political party that cannot produce a member of the House of Rep within the whole country have no business to remain in business of floating a political party. That's my candid opinion.
Interesting. Okay, in your opinion, just before I let you go, let's be very specific. How many do you think we should have in terms of the number of political parties in Nigeria?
Let us look at currently how many of the current political parties are active. Now PDP, APC, APGA.
Maybe Labour Party in some places in the country.
Okay, we can say we're reducing to 5. We can reduce to 5, like we have in the First and the Second Republic. Reduce to 5. And then, let them be strongly, rooted. Another danger is this. We have a political system that have no ideology. That is the greatest danger of them all. There's no ideology in all these political parties. Can you differentiate between APC and PDP? where you see the what we might describe as the owners of PDP, because they lost power moving to APC. What do you see the owners, founders of APC moving to PDP? Is it not a mockery? Political party thing ought to be an ideological thing. People who subscribe to certain ideologies, you might say the progressive, the conservatives, the liberals, and then they come together based on the ideology. If you subscribe to that school of thought, you belong. In our own case, it's like a mockery. That's why we're not making progress. Sure, we're not.
Interesting. Mr. Chris AGIRI, I want to really appreciate you for your analysis this morning on the platform on Flow 94.9 FM. Thank you very much.
Very much thanks, Flow FM.
You're
Keep the flag. Please.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Chris is the DG of Flag Foundation of Nigeria and also an election observer. I'm going to have your thoughts now. You can share your thoughts with me. Let's talk. I want to hear you speak on the issue we're discussing about this morning. We're examining the former President Goodluck Jonathan's suggestion on less judicial interference in the electoral process. That will be after this timeout.
At Flow 94.9 FM, we've got conducive and well-secured environment for business. High-tech video studio, a state-of-the-art production studio. You can also listen live on www.flow949fm.com and watch our videos on YouTube at Flow FM TV. Flow 94.9 FM, not just radio, but a complete broadcasting house.
All right, you can be part of the conversation this morning on the platform on Flow 94.9 FM by calling 0808-182-6949 or 0811-605-2949. Also drop messages on our Facebook page, our social media platforms. At Twitter, it is at Flow 949 FM, and also on Facebook, it is at Flow 949 FM. We have visuals running there on Facebook, and also text message 0906-510-8289. Good morning to you. Welcome to the platform.
Good morning, sir.
You're welcome.
Emmanuel from Ahafia.
You're welcome. Good morning.
Yes, like your last journalist has said, maybe the governor who is not Supreme Court governor, maybe the senator who is not from Supreme Court and the House of Reps. So what Jonathan is saying now is too late. During your time, I think Supreme Court making the president. Why should not address this issue? The problem we have in this country with our leader, when they go out, they will find one good thing or the other to say it. But when they are in power, their eye will blind. They will not see that thing. They will not correct that thing against other tenor. But now they are finished your own thoughts. Now I'm saying that Supreme Court should not be the decider of to say governor win or whoever win. But when he was there, it's Supreme Court who making the president. He didn't see all these things to correct it against the next election. Then now it's not empowered again. Now, say all those things to say that Supreme Court should not decide. Let me the governor who is not Supreme Court governor. Only that governor from Anambra State will not be enough. All the governors in Nigeria, all the Supreme Court make them governor. Most of them, 95% did not win. The Supreme Court will make them the governors. So you should stop saying all those things. This is medicine after death. Nigerian policy has already spoiled by the politicians. And they are them with the call of this Supreme Court. When you operate, the highest they win the race. When you pay much, they will give you the ticket, say you are the winner. So Nigeria election has already condemned. But all of them based in the Supreme Court. When you lost the South, I will go to the Supreme Court, I will claim my minded back. So the thing has done the damage already. The other did not fit in. What you say now is medicine after this, no useless. Useless. So let us continue with Supreme Court.
All right.
The only way to win election in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you for your contribution. Glad to have you join us. What's your name? Good morning to you.
Ikechukwu. Good morning.
Welcome, Ikechukwu. Go on, please.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you, Ikechukwu. Go on, please.
Okay. I totally disagree with the former president. You understand? Judicially don't interfere in politics. Let me give you for instance. If you, Mike Oni, and Geneka all have contested election, and Mike Oni were fear of squarely, or want to violence, if Geneka decided that Mike Oni, congratulations, I'm not going to court, will the judiciary come and say, no, Mike Oni come here, didn't win election? You know what I'm telling you?
I'm getting you.
The judiciary is not about politics. What they are after is justice. Technicality that will make a candidate emerge in an election. Did you follow electoral process? Because an election is part of democratic politics. And any democratic given state has a constitution which regulates. It's like a football match, a game that has a rules and regulation. So for you to emerge to a particular position through election, you must follow the rules. If you don't follow the rules, that election can be annulled. You get what I'm saying? Unlike in the US is so in population completely, they don't make what they call electoral college and some senate to satisfy election. But based on that, the candidates still have the mandate, the right to approach the judiciary to seek redress. Judiciary is the highest arbiter of justice in this country. You understand? I'm telling you. It's not about saying that there is a way to which they cannot take what judiciary do is what determinants of constitution. They are not interested in in people. They are not interested in vote. What mostly case is that.
All right, Chick.
If
yes,
election vote, let me wrap now. What judiciary normally do, if there's the whole country conduct an election, and the constitution says that the winner must score to third majority of the vote cast. So they will now look at the total vote cast at where there's supported violence minus those votes. Did they still have to third majority? If they still have to third majority, they will give their verdict, judgment. But if after minusing some constituency where we have violence, if the vote they have is less than to third majority, they call for a run to add that figure to make up the winner. You understand?
All right,
so it's true that the INEC can declare winner.
Thank you for your contribution. Let's get more reactions on the phone lines now. Glad to have you join us. What's your name?
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. My name is Rancorous.
You're welcome.
What I want to say in this is that because of the political parties we have in Nigeria does not have ideology, it will be hard to correct the whole MSC that is happening in our electoral system. Until they begin to have ideology, then things will start to be getting right. That's all I can say. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you for your contribution. Very brief and straight to the point. Keep your calls coming, keep your comments coming. Let's talk about this issue, examining the suggestion of that former president on judiciary interference in the electoral process in the country. Glad to have you join us. What's your name? Welcome.
Good morning, Michael.
Good morning.
I remember Mr. Prince Will from here in Omonachogo.
You're welcome, Mr. Prince Will.
Michael, I believe the former president of this country, Jonathan, has said it all. And that was actually what made him to leave that office. If he had been looking for technicalities, he would have said that he just used INEC improved car reader, and when he had seen that the election is going against him, he surrendered and gave up. And that was made actually Buhari what he is today. So if he had gone to the court, he would have used one or two technicalities, because in Kano or Kaduna, a good number of people underage were being registered, but he couldn't do that. So let us take a cue from the United States. Whatever the former United States president did couldn't help, because he would have used the Supreme Court to thwart the election of the United States, but he couldn't do it. The United States Supreme Court stood to their right and gave that election to the electorate. In Nigeria, we should take a cue from that. If you are looking for technicalities, believe you me, anybody that has money can be getting the election through the court, like what happened in Imo State. These are my statements. God bless my brother.
Thank you very well, Mr. Princewell. Yes, you're welcome to the platform.
Good morning, Michael.
Good morning to you.
This is Joseph Ejinga. I'm calling from Alai.
You're welcome, Mr. Joseph.
Honestly, the position of former President Goodluck Jonathan is independent and in line with what we're talking about today in the Nigerian political system. But the area that you have to look at it is this: what the politics is all about in the country and what politicians take politics for.
Okay.
You can attest with me that politicians in Nigeria, they use political structure or politics as a way of amassing wealth as a way of making more money. It's not to rule. Believe you me, if at all there will be an opportunity for the government or the House of Senate or those in government to cost down the salary and jumbo allowance of those of them who are in the politics or in the public office, you will see all of them will find something doing. Today, because of the magnitude of corruption that has been cashed into politics, and they now see politics as a way of making money. And that's one of the reasons. The judiciary itself also seen it as a part of making money too. And it's not easy for you to tell me that when you are considering being maybe the election that they brought somebody into power is being manipulated, then you are telling me that you will not go to court. And nobody can advise you to sit for self-defense. You must go to judiciary. So, anywhere you look at it, we must go to judiciary. We can never leave judiciary. So, what I'm advising in the country is this. Let the salary of the president cut to be that of the salary of the permanent secretary in the federal. Let the salary of the governor cut to be that of the salary of the permanent secretary in the state. So, it should go down to other hierarchy. You will see many of them who think that the politics is the easiest way of making money. They will go out of the politics, and you will see there will be a sincerity in terms of politics, and you will see people that come to rule, for service. We start practicing politics in Nigeria. In other way around, we'll reduce the cost of governance, so that the politics will not be seen as a lucrative business. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your contribution. On the Facebook page, Ozo Francis says, watching from Enugu State. Joseph P. says, good morning, Michael. You are doing a good job. God bless you. I concur with the ex-president, Jonathan, but he has the power to sign the electoral law when he was in power, but he failed. I pray that God will help us get a new Nigeria. All right. On the SMS line, this one says, good morning, Obasi from Ikwana. I disagree with Jonathan on less judiciary interference in elections. Sometimes the court is the hope of the common man. Let's take this and we wrap up this morning. Okay, it didn't pull through. All right. Thank you very much for being part of the program this morning. The platform returns on Friday, which will be the last edition for the week. Many thanks to my producer, Samson Eze, and of course, Samson's assistant, Uyai Basi Jimmy. Thank you very much. And many thanks to the guys behind the visuals on our Facebook page and other social media platforms, Solomon and Stanley. Do enjoy the rest of your day. My name is Michael Oni.